Good morning. So happy Monday. As always, I have a lot of energy, and today I'm really thrilled to have a very special guest. His name is Marcel Gutierrez. And Marcel is a founder of Changesolutions. He is an awareness coach, and he helps you by finding clarity, stillness, and peace of mind so that you can start focusing on healthier balance and life, and also between different focal points of your life. He was born in South Africa. He aimed a career as a professional athlete, but when one of the unexpected car accident happened, it totally destroyed his possibility, and he was lost after that. Looking for the new direction in life after the car accident, he came out to Ireland, and at the age of 20, and then life just started to be a roller coaster out of control. And after a series of life-altering events, he experienced mental, emotional shutdown. Today, Marcel has transformed this experience and used it to help others attain inner peace, clarity, and focus. And one of the quotes that I really love is, this is from Marcel, quote unquote, and no one needs to experience this sense of isolation and hopelessness. Nobody should have to go through pain and confusion alone. So I'm very pleased to have Marcel. Thank you for joining me from Ireland. Welcome to my Monday coffee.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
My God,
I know I read your bio, but I would love to, I'm sure everybody likes to hear from your version of who you are. So tell us about you.
Absolutely. Before we continue, however, I would like to make a suggestion.
Yes, please.
Let's come together at some stage and figure out how to bottle your energy. I think we can make a lot of money selling that stuff.
Okay. Well, done. I'm gonna find my bottle. I'm gonna find a very beautiful bottle today, and I'm gonna channel and put my bottle of energy there. And then we can talk about how to label, how to marketing, and we can perhaps even do another show to talk about this.
Exactly. Always more.
Always.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. That's
Listening to the introduction. God, that sounds like an amazing person you're talking about. Who is that? It's always so strange, when somebody else introduces you, like you forget, okay, this is actually my story. This is my life. This is what I've done. This is where I've been. This is what I've experienced. And now I'm still here. But it disconnects you completely and it detaches you from your own presence. So thank you. That was great to listen to you introduce me.
My pleasure.
Michelle, I'm from South Africa, as you said already. I'm 38 years old now. In South Africa, I will tell you about some of the stuff, basically, that I had experienced there throughout my childhood and my teenage years. I was a professional athlete aiming towards international, I suppose really my parents' dream for me was international stardom. For me, at that stage of my life, I was basically just running and training and running. And then, because of a very irresponsible car accident, I was drunk. So I passed out behind the steering wheel of my car when I was 19. And I broke my femur. And that was it. From being in the middle of a process to train for competing international, from the one day to the next, I was lying in my hospital bed, looking into my doctor's eyes. He was telling me, Marcel, you will never be able to run again. So that was it. My first life dream, like in this conscious body that I woke up in, I was gone. Then I found myself lying in bed for a year. And of course, you would know, because I didn't use my leg, all my muscles went hard. So I couldn't move my leg. I couldn't bend any of my muscles. Then I had to learn to walk again from basically as being like a child. Which, looking back at it now, I really actually enjoyed the experience, because it gave me a new appreciation for how my body works and a new awareness of how this biological system actually interfaces with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I became super frustrated because now you know how it works. You have a goal, you have a plan, you work towards it, and then if that's gone, what do? You have all that energy still and all that drive. Then I got an opportunity to come to Ireland,
Uh-huh.
and I was still on my crutches when I
Uh-huh.
came here. Right
Okay.
now, Ireland temperature is the polar opposite of South African temperature. So
Mm-hmm.
I left in January
Mm-hmm.
2000 in South Africa,
Uh-huh.
and weather there was probably 39 to 40 degrees Celsius,
Mm-hmm.
very warm. The morning I arrived in
Mm-hmm.
Ireland, it was like -4 and raining.
Yeah.
So, of course, naive, young, inexperienced, I got off the plane and I had like shorts and flip flops
Okay.
standing
Oh,
with two crutches.
right.
That's how it started,
Okay.
Like the whole thing was for me, I just wanted to get away, literally.
Mm.
And I soon felt that life had completely different plans for me,
Mm. Mhm.
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you mentioned about the incidents when the car accident happened, I can totally relate that. And one of the reasons, I came across your profile was because I had similar experience as you do, and I kind of saw my accident as a point of transformation. If it didn't happen, then something else, all the subsequent events wouldn't have occurred. So it almost it was necessary for me to experience that tragedy in order to be where I am today. So I'm sure you would agree that that was something that it was necessary to become the person who we are today.
I do. I see your points, and we're sitting metaphorically around the same fire completely. I
Mm-hmm.
call incidents and happenings like that impact points, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're major life changing events that happen in our lives. Now,
Mm-hmm.
irrespective of if this happens or if this happens, obviously, and then it's a
Uh-huh.
physical in our mind space, we will have the options to do A, B, C, or D. But at the
Right.
end of the day, it's the actual event that happens that
Mm-hmm.
influences the rest of our direction.
Mm-hmm.
So Steve Jobs said, one of my favorite quotes, he said
Yeah.
that it's impossible to connect the dots
Mm.
standing here and looking forward to the dots.
Uh-huh.
The
Uh-huh.
only way that we can connect the dots is by having faith or belief in something.
Mm-hmm.
If we look back at them, then we can see that they connect.
Right.
And this is how it works. I mean, as a human being, we want purpose.
Mm-hmm.
We want there to be a reason for all of this
Why we're here. Yeah.
while we're here. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So listen, it's quite natural evolution
Mm-hmm.
for us to attach such meaning to the things that happen in our lives
Right.
that we say, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am. But
Yeah.
the truth is, life happens, Michelle.
Yeah.
We can't choose how we look when we're born. Obviously, we
Right.
can make some cosmetic
Mm-hmm.
adjustments if that's what we want. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not like there's a lottery before we're going through the conception process and say, Marcel, how big do you want your nose to be? No, no, no. Someone else
Yeah.
already has that. See
You
that?
can pick and choose
You
how
can.
certain
You know
thing and certain
exactly.
event how do they
Yeah,
happen.
you
But
can.
you can definitely choose how you want to move forward. So what inspired you to start helping others?
Honestly,
Uh-huh.
pain. Pain. Michelle, my life took many turning points. All right,
Mm.
and the most drastic for me was probably from, I would say, 23 to 33,
Mhm.
34. Right,
Okay.
there was a 10-year stage in my life where everything crashed worse than what I thought was ever possible.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I completely, I stopped having a reason.
Mm.
I stopped having a reason for wanting to get out of bed in the morning. I had no motivation, nothing. Everywhere I turned towards looking for help,
Mm-hmm.
everybody gave me advice based on how they wanted me to be, how they thought I would best serve them.
Yeah.
Completely subjective advice. I
Yeah.
couldn't find anybody who could actually put my own well-being in perspective from
Mm-hmm.
a detached point of view
Mm-hmm.
to tell me what are my options? Why do I feel like this? What can I do about it?
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason. You
Uh,
know, we're not alone. We're not going through this life alone at all.
mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
reason I'm doing this
Yeah.
is to spread the message. You're not alone. You're
Mm-hmm.
not. If you struggle and you find yourself at a place that you really don't know what to do, connect with me. This is why I
Mm-hmm.
do what I do, to show you that
Uh-huh.
you're not alone.
Yeah. And I loved it how you talked about a lot of people they tend to give us advice out of their personal experience. In my experience, this relationship wouldn't work, or what you're doing is ruin our relationship, or things when you're applying for a job, there's all kinds of advice like people are giving you, and they're all coming out from them, but it's not completely related to how I want to run my life.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
in that moment of time, we're very stuck in that moment where we don't know the answer, but we don't realize that each one of us have a higher coach, and sometimes we just need to sit back and listen to the higher coach, and that
Exactly.
higher coach has the answer to us. So you and I, we're both coach. That's what we do in terms of finding that higher coach, that inner voice that they have can guide them do what they need to do in life. So I
Exactly.
love how you
Exactly.
were saying, yeah, that's amazing. So
And it's not that complicated. Sorry for interrupting you.
no,
There's
it's
basic
okay.
basic rules that once we have clarity on what these rules are and what
Mm-hmm.
processes are underlying our existing in this form,
Mm-hmm.
then there's guidelines that we actually have. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the first one is the difference between intuition and mind. You
Mm-hmm.
know, our mind is attached to our ego, it wants to belong to something. So,
Mm-hmm.
naturally, what are we going to do? We're born into a pattern from our parents and our
Mm-hmm.
uncles and aunties and brothers and sisters who were also born into patterns by their parents, telling them this is how you
Right.
have to be. And if they don't realize this, you end up waking up as a child in a family telling you, you have to be like this, you have to be like this, you have to be
Right.
like this. This stuff puts massive pressure on you.
Yeah.
Massive. So that's the
Matt.
mind then that develops. But
Yeah.
underneath that, everybody has this link to their
Mm-hmm.
inner voice, their intuition. Now,
Yeah.
the complication with intuition comes is people get so used to wanting to rationalize
Mm-hmm.
right and wrong, yes and
Right.
no, things like that. Whereas intuition at its baseline is basically it's a projection either towards or away
Mm-hmm.
from. And our intuition doesn't rationalize with your mind, it says, listen, you have to do this. It just tells you, yes, go towards this, or no, stay away from this.
Uh-huh.
And so I
Uh-huh.
find the
Yeah.
balance then between those two is really like, it's
Uh-huh.
a skill that one can learn to guide their own life, to find
Yeah.
purpose. And this is one of
Mm-hmm.
the things that I teach in my upcoming program, Peace of Mind, which we'll talk
Mm-hmm.
about later. That's the one side of it.
Yeah, for
The other side then is fight, flight, or
sure.
freeze.
Mm.
You know, these
Yeah.
three reactions are so strong
Mm-hmm.
inside us, you know,
Yeah,
that we just
absolutely.
don't know what to do. You come to a place where you're hurt and you're angry and you're sad. What do you do? When you're young and strong, like, and you want to prove yourself to the world, you fight.
Right.
Then if you see fighting doesn't work, and the same thing still happens because now you've developed that pattern that you're stuck in.
Yeah.
And then you reach your 20s, your 30s, maybe your 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing happens from your environment, but now you don't have the energy or the power or the will to fight anymore.
Right.
So
It's
now
just
you
kind of.
start
Mm-hmm.
running. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
So there's basic stuff like,
Mm-hmm. And I can totally relate to the that people have a lot of conditions that came from our past generation, from people, from social media. Because I was in that place where I was getting all these information, but I was lost in terms of knowing who I am. And so there's a lot of voice in my head constantly tell me, oh, for women, I need to look like this. I need to be shaped. I need to have good body. Certain parts of my body need to be in good figure. So I had a lot of things that was going on in my mind. There was like a battle in my head.
Oh.
So and we all have that battle in our head, that voice in our head.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do too. So why don't you share with us
Not anymore.
what that voice in your head usually say to you?
No, not anymore. And I will tell you about it now. Just before I continue, I quickly want to just add something on what you're saying now about the voice in our heads, and especially the voice in your head that I told you, you have to be like this, and you have to be like this, and you have to be like this. Michelle, we're set up for disappointments and failure from the beginning because of advertising and the media, right?
Yeah.
Our ego is attached to a library of information, right? So from childhood, we pick up all these things. This is what a woman is supposed to be. This is what a man is supposed to be. This is what success is supposed to be. If you struggle, this is how you fix it. So we get so overwhelmed by all of this information, which then, if you put that in bracket, is only being advertised to actually get you to spend your money so that corporations can make more money, right? It's nothing to do with your own well-being at all.
Right.
Then we come to a point and we go, but listen, I need to know. I need to know, who am I? How do other people see me? And then our egos go, okay, this is the information that I've picked up. And that's when that inner voice then gets developed. So that inner voice really is an echo of an accumulation of all of the information that we've actually categorized into the different libraries, into our mental processing, trying to fit in. Yes?
Right.
No. Should I? Shouldn't I? And this brings me to the next stage then, to answer your question.
Yeah.
I haven't had that voice in my head for a few years now.
Okay. How did you silence it?
For me, the process that I teach, finding clarity, stillness, and peace of mind, this is a process that I developed basically on, as objectively as possible, viewing my own life and testing it. So it started, first of all, for me with basically realizing that, okay, this is what I have control over and this is what I don't have control over. And I realized that by essentially breaking actions and reactions down to its elemental state. Right? So I can have a thought, I can also monitor that thought from a detached point of view, and then I can say, okay, I'm not going to react to you, but I'm aware that you actually just happened now. And I can create a space, and then you say, okay, is there something else coming, or can I decide how I want to respond now? So that gives a massive break, and it takes so much pressure off us, because we learn then that we don't have to instinctively, we don't have to react immediately. This is a learned behavior. This is not how we are actually built. We're built to stop and observe and to see first. Remember, we had this conversation the other day.
Yeah, we did.
By design, right? I have 2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 mouth.
My
2
apologies.
ears.
My cat interrupted it.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So what that comes down to is, if we actually look at ourselves, like, I am made to talk less than what I look and listen. But today it's a completely different situation, because unfortunately people feel that true self-acceptance lies in other people accepting them first. And as a consequence, everybody is talking, but very few people are listening.
I agree. Yeah. And I think I find that a lot of time where I notice people get stuck on is they have that awareness of, okay, this is my inner voice, and I need to be aware of how my thoughts will interrupt with the actions. But yet, people have trouble moving forward in taking actions. So what is your take in terms of the message that you're sending out? How would that be able to move people into, we want them to take actions about taking control in their life. So how do we move them from awareness into action?
Quite simple. First, I think your cat likes me.
I think he does.
Yeah, getting that feeling.
You have that good energy, and it's sending it to my cat. So he wanted to be on the camera every time we speak.
What can I say? It's happened before, Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the first time.
He loves you.
Michelle, we can't do anything if we think there's something wrong with us.
Mm.
That's the base. That's the baseline. For as long as we think that there's actually something wrong with us that needs to be fixed, as long as we think that there's something broken that needs to be corrected, it's like asking a question. As soon as you ask a question, you will always find an answer. Many people always ask me, like, what can I do to change my life? How will I know once I've changed my life? Tell me what to do. And my answer is always the same. Before you can change anything in your life, you must first be. You must be who you are. You must be that accumulation of everything that happened so far in your life that brought you right here. Because if you don't own that stuff, if you don't own your own past and your own present,
yeah,
how are you supposed to know what to do with the future?
Yeah.
It's impossible. You're always going to try to live up to somebody else's version of yourself when you haven't even decided what is your own version. And the only way you can know what your own version is by looking and owning your own life.
Yeah, yeah. I would totally agree with that because I think part of the thing about us is that a lot of us we have that awareness, and we know we're at a different place where we need to do something better or we need to change our life. But when it comes to action, we're actually, some of us are not doing it, for number one, and number two is that a lot of us are doing it instead of just being it. So what I found easier for me was that I stopped trying to do things. I'm just simply being things. So I said what's on my mind, and how that resonate with myself in terms of whether or not I'm valuing my own values. I'm actually honoring my own values, or I'm going against my values and being, just trying to be okay and just try to be fitting in. So my struggle from awareness to action was that piece of, are you being or are you doing it? Are you trying to be liked by someone, or are you trying to be yourself, whether people like you or not?
Yeah. Welcome to the club.
So I ask you, I'm really curious about how you would complete the following sentence or blanks.
Yeah.
All right. So I am
grateful and sometimes nervous, sometimes scared, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes excited. I am just like you, like everybody else there. But I decided to live my life and tell my story. And I want everybody who watches this to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I am the person that's sitting here in front of you telling you that as long as you stay quiet, nobody will understand you because you're not talking to anybody.
Yeah. You're not expressing yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We stay quiet because we think that people won't understand us.
Yeah.
But how can people understand us if we don't explain to them that
Yeah.
this is how I feel?
Yeah. And life is
Amazing. And hard.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unpredictable.
Uh-huh.
And you can make plans
Uh-huh.
and they might not work out. God, I've made so many plans
Uh-huh. That didn't work out.
that didn't work out. Which comes back again to the mind and the intuition,
Right.
because
Right.
one is a
It happens to me all
natural
the time.
compass.
I
Exactly.
love planning. I make plans to
Yeah.
everything. But a lot of time they don't work out to the way I want it. So in the past I'm getting stuck on, well, I want a certain way. It's not going out. It's not coming out in a certain way. Then I get frustrated. Now I don't, because I have that sense of it. I make plans, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, oh well, I have more opportunities. So
There's a very easy, I don't want to say trick, right? It's more methods, right? That one can become aware of. It's one of the things that I teach. Any goal that we work towards, that because we've already created how we see the results in our minds.
Yeah.
But if we haven't done it already and we haven't walked that path already, how realistically can we actually look at whatever result it is? If one stops expecting, however, then you build a trust in your own ability, right? That trust leads to confidence. That confidence leads to peace of mind.
Yes.
Showing you, because I do everything I can, I'm responsible for what I'm busy doing and what I'm going to be doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I know if I just continue, the result will be amazing.
Yeah.
We let ourselves down by having too high expectations. Not actually by having too high expectations, by having expectations.
It's having expectation for the outcome, what the outcome would look like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I will never forget one of the many very prominent stories, like in South Africa growing up. I grew up as a farmer. We farmed with sunflowers and coriander. And I was about maybe, this is the first time in a while that I've thought of this memory, that I was about 7 or 8, round about there. And I will never forget, right? So, I mean, struggling farmers, we weren't very rich. We weren't actually very wealthy. I wouldn't even go as far as rich. We just got by, literally, like with the help of our community. But this one harvesting season, right? The sunflowers and the coriander was just better than what they'd ever been, ever. And as a child, I remember this amazing excitement, right, from my parents and all the family and all the friends going, oh my God, after this harvest, you guys are going to be set. Like your life is going to change.
So much better.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And in one night, right, there was a very horrible black frost, and it killed everything. In a matter of hours, that massive expectation of this glorious result, it was died. It was killed by the weather.
Yeah.
So how can one foresee an outcome like that?
Yeah.
You can't.
And why do you think tragedy like that happened to us?
I don't think there's a reason, Michelle. I think things happen. Things happen, and if we want a reason, we will always find a reason. I look at life like I can sit here, right, and I can wonder, why the hell is it raining on top of me?
Right.
Or alternatively, I can research how storms work and see that this is a big, massive rain cloud that's around me. So either I can get in my car and get out of the cloud's way, or I can just sit here and learn to enjoy it and plant some seeds.
Yeah.
Because I know that the storm cloud will pass. Life is a series of interconnected small ecosystems. if we want reason, we will find reason.
Yeah.
But the truth is, a tree doesn't come to you and ask you, why do I exist?
Uh-huh. That's a good analogy. Yes.
And
Yeah.
we're the same.
Yeah. And that's where I was stuck on, in terms of, I was asking a lot of questions, and I'm sure a lot of the viewer, you went through that car accident as well. In that moment of time of tragedy, was sitting there and we're thinking, oh, why does this happen to me? Why do I have to be the one who's going through this?
Yeah.
So having gone through that, I realized that, just like what your analogy said, a tree doesn't come to you and say, oh, why do I exist? Same thing with me. Why do I even bother to ask myself, why do I exist? Because there's gift and there's talent within that each individual. And we talked about this in our past conversation that we had. So what do you think the world needs?
I thought about this question. This is the only question that I actually thought about intensely. I've been sleeping less and less for the last 3 weeks since you sent me this question, Michelle.
Just thinking about it.
No, I'm messing with you. Yeah.
There's a lot of things the world needs. I can name a few.
Okay, so this is a really important question, right? What does the world need? Nature is magnificent, right? Nature has its own natural order.
Yeah.
Without our species on this planet, everything would have been in natural equilibrium. So if I may, I would like to redefine that question. Rather than asking, what does the world need? What do people need? Because we are responsible for the well-being of our own lives, as well as the future of this biological spaceship that we're on. We're the only species that has ever had so much control that we can actually make something out of nothing. And that in itself is extraordinary.
Yeah.
My wish, right, like my whole life journey and this path that I'm on, right, I wish people would have more time and patience for each other. I wish people would appreciate each other more. I wish people would stop walking around with these visors on their heads, and if they see somebody that looks down and depressed, walk over to them and give them a hug and say, listen, it's okay. I might not understand, but I can see that you're hurting. It's fine. We are so self-serving that we just think about ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the irony of it all. Because the only control we have is over these bodies anyway. But there's a lot of truth in that saying that sharing is caring. The whole point is we are not alone. Throughout our history, what is it now, like 8,000, maybe 10,000 years from ancient Sumerians and Mesopotamia, when cultures came together, and they chose that place where they came together because of mutual interests. There was water, there was food, and there was protection. So people came from all over the place, and they all settled in one spot because that one spot provided the communal needs for all of them.
Yeah.
Today, it's become massively self-serving, Unfortunately, most things have become buy.
Yeah.
And it's blinded us to actually asking the important questions like, what am I? How do I know this? What do I think? Small things like, is this thought I'm thinking actually mine, or is it just a memory from an ad I saw on the television? But listen, there is hope. The fact that we're having this conversation, and I would like to tell all of your audience and all of my audience that's listening to this, guys, we will put the link here. My website is Marcel. No. My website is changesolutions.eu. My Facebook group, Marcel from Change Solutions. There is help. Look at what Michelle is doing. Michelle, I think you're fantastic. We spoke
Thank
about
you.
your story.
Yes.
You have the potential to explode into inspiration.
Thank you.
You
And
know,
I think going back to relate to the what the world needs, and I totally agree with you that a lot of us are in that ego self, or we live in that ego self where we focus on me
yeah,
rather
yeah,
than focusing on we as a whole globe or on the global scale. And I really think that each one of us are really talented and that we came with a gift to contribute back to that global to contribute it globally. So what you're doing is bringing awareness from people and teaching them how to take becoming taking in charge of their own life.
exactly.
What
Yeah,
I do is helping transition people from different stages of their life to moving them forward so that they can realize what their true potential is. So each one of us, we're
there you
just
go.
small part of example of how we can contribute our talent in this world. So I think people need to really start looking at what talent do I have and what is it about me that I can bring out to the world to make this world a better place to live. And that's be honest, we're all living in this world globally. So everything that we do on this planet, on this continent, will affect what's going on another continent.
Everywhere. Yeah, everything is connected. Yes, I agree with you completely. But I would like to add something because unfortunately, another very, very hard truth is different people are on different levels of psychological
Yes.
and educational awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So expecting one person to be able to do this and expecting another person to be able to do this, you might be spelling out the exact same words and the exact same sentence to them,
Yeah.
and they'd be
They
understanding
have,
it in 45 different meanings.
right. Right.
Right. So our, I suppose I can say our responsibility, as mentors, as coaches, as leaders in our field,
Mm-hmm.
is to put that time and that efforts into finding that clarity in our own thoughts
Mm-hmm.
in order to speak our our people, our tribe, our customers, those
Right.
who we connected to speak their language, because
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to hear us, Michelle.
Right. Right. It's a different on a different level of frequency. People have different
Exactly,
frequencies. Yeah. And they need
exactly,
to be able to tune in. With that
exactly.
said, I know you already mentioned this earlier. What
Yeah, I
tell
just
us
jumped out. Sorry.
no,
Yeah.
tell us about your next step because I know you have a big project coming up. You're wanting to do a master group. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I have a couple of things in the pipeline at the moment. What I'm working on now currently, right, is I have
Uh-huh.
a new group coaching program coming out, and the launch is this week, Thursday. The program is called Peace of Minds,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's literally what it is. It's a 4-week group coaching
Mm-hmm.
program with one additional one-to-one, however long it takes, personalized call
Mm-hmm.
at the end of it, where we go through. I ran a survey, many different platforms, asking people,
Mm-hmm.
what is preventing you from getting peace of mind, from attaining this
Mm-hmm.
elusive, mystical
Mm-hmm.
thing?
Yeah.
And all of the answers were the same.
Yeah.
It's negative self-talk, it's
Mm-hmm.
stress and frustration in life, it's
Yeah.
environmental pressures, it's people being stuck in
Yeah.
patterns. Now the irony is people know that they're stuck, but they don't know what to do about it.
Exactly.
You know, so the program is designed, first of all, to give one clarity to see,
Uh-huh.
okay, you're stuck in a pattern. Where does this pattern come from? How has this pattern influenced your life up until now?
Mm-hmm.
Then, the second part is to teach you how to create your innate stillness.
Mm-hmm.
Stillness in order to actually realize, okay, it's okay, I've been stuck in a pattern. Now I've realized it, so that means I can do something about it. That creates
Right.
massive stillness inside us because now you don't have that chatter anymore. And then the
Exactly.
third part of the program is when you have the ability and the power to actually
Mm-hmm.
go, okay, I'm making a decision now to
Yeah.
change this to work for me rather than being stuck in it working against me. which then leads to the peace of mind parts. Because
Mm.
then obviously you know where you're from, you're in the present, and
Yeah.
you're not worried about the future.
Yeah.
You know? So
I
that's the
love that.
program.
That's amazing. So I
Yeah.
will link it for the audience at the end of our session, and then please go check it out. It's called Peace of Mind. It's a 4-week master program. Thank you so much.
I quickly want to ask you a question, may I?
Yes, of course.
What does the concept of peace of mind mean for you, Michelle?
Well, that's a very good question, because I have gone through with the last past couple of months. I've been going through some personal changes and lifestyle changes, and now I'm moving forward with my business as a coach. There's a lot of things that surface as I'm going through this process. So having that peace of mind means that I'm fully aware of that chatter voice in my head.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not. I like to call it. It's not in the driver's seat. It's sitting in my passenger seat. And
Very good
you know how sometimes you're driving and there's a person like sitting next to you. They just couldn't stop directing you where to go. Oh, you need to make a right turn. Oh, you need to make a left turn. Oh, you need to stop here. Oh, watch out for that person. So that is the chatter in my head sometimes as I'm
Awesome.
going through that process. So the peace of mind is me channeling all my energy and my focus onto honoring myself. If I feel sad, I'm going to take a day and just cry in my bed and cover myself and maybe cry a little bit.
Yeah.
If I'm happy, I'm going to be out there and celebrating with my friends, with myself, and doing things that I love. It's about honoring who I am, and that I know what I'm doing is important to me, of how I feel.
That's beautiful. There's a very specific reason I asked you, what is
Mm-hmm.
your version
Yeah.
of peace of mind?
Everyone have different versions.
Because everybody has their own version.
Right.
You know, comes back to expecting stuff. What is my result? There is no one answer that covers everything.
Mm-hmm.
All we can do is get guidance for somebody who's been through it,
Right.
who knows the ropes, who saw the process, who
Yeah.
saw the patterns, and then to listen to them.
Yeah.
You know, but everybody's result is different. In its essence, peace of mind, if you break it down to its most elemental form, it's not suffering anything from a past memory anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Being completely present in the present
Mm-hmm.
and not worrying about anything that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
That's,
Or anything that had happened, because we live in that world where I shoulda woulda and coulda done a lot of things, but looking forward, you're not making any progress by thinking about I shoulda woulda coulda. What you
nothing.
can do is ask yourself, what can you do should that situation comes up again, or what can you do this very moment to change who you are, or realizing who you are. I would say not change, but more realizing who you are, so that all your action would be in the future would be in alignment of who you are right now.
Certainly one way to look at it.
Yeah, I'm sure we can talk about that a lot more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me. I'm having such a good time. Every time I speak to you, I learn something. It's
I
bringing to my
know. I
awareness,
know.
clarity. And I love the fact that you're helping your client finding that clarity and also that peace of mind, because as I start having a lot of conversation, and even my clients, they struggle with that, having that peace of mind and
It's
having that
important.
life.
Michelle, it's important. Essentially, life is a pattern, like we're stuck in this pattern for God knows how long. And
Mm-hmm.
until something happens that we realize we're just inside a pattern, we're always going to be stuck.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
always going to be stuck. So it can
It doesn't
be,
that way.
I beg
Right.
your pardon?
I said the thing doesn't have to be that way. You don't have
No,
to sit there and feeling
no,
stuck.
doesn't
Yeah,
have to be that way at all.
that wake up call.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The sad part is this can happen when you're 16 or it can happen when you're 70.
Yeah, it does not discriminate.
That's a perfect way of putting it. Yeah, it does not discriminate. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marcel.
Okay, listen, I just quickly self-promotion. My website,
Yes, please.
changesolutions.eu. My Facebook group, Marcel from Changesolutions. Okay, Michelle, thank you.
Yes, guys, go follow. Go check him out. He's great. He's amazing. Thank you. Have a good night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.